Hi, I'm Matthew Petti, and I want to thank you for purchasing the first volume of my Epiphany video series. I sincerely hope that this introductory video will invoke viewers towards a new journey of discovery. The entire video series is currently in production, and each volume will be as informative and thought-provoking as I hope you will find this one to be. I look forward to all of your comments, which you can provide via any of the contact information at my website, MatthewPetti.com. Once again, thanks so much for your support. In the early summer of 1977, I experienced a remarkable life-changing epiphany while driving home from a friend's house. An instantaneous surge of countless recognizable truths overflowed in my mind in an ordered sequence. It was like a very lucid dream where I could recognize everything as it was passing, but couldn't consciously recall much of it in sequence afterwards. I was overwhelmed with a sense of urgency and an insatiable curiosity to make sense of this new information. The underlying feeling was an almost desperate conviction that our world was on the brink of upheaval and impending doom. It wasn't long before I directed my attention to the book of Revelation. I really believed I could figure out what was going to happen in the near future. I began my quest, trying to understand exactly what the future holds for us. I've continually tried to relive my experience and to sort through some of the most memorable impressions lying deep within my memory. I continued my search for clues to the mysteries of our future, which led to new insights and new perspectives. These new perspectives have altered all of my most important decisions. And in my journey to discover Revelation's meaning, I have found it to be much more than prophecy. What does apocalypse mean to you? If you're like most people, you believe that anything apocalyptic is related to war, suffering, and death, fire and brimstone, Armageddon, end of the world, or some other form of doom and gloom. The truth is, however, that the word apocalypse, translated literally from Greek, is a disclosure of knowledge, hidden from humanity, or a lifting of the veil or revelation, an awakening to truth. Only the sixth sense can expose what the other five have hidden. There are an ever-increasing number of people who truly believe that we're approaching a major crossroad in our human journey. If we look closely, we find there are two schools of thought explaining how, why, and when this will all take place. On one hand, spiritual teachers and futurists like Owen Waters, Daniel Pinchbeck, John Hogue, and many others tell us that a dramatic and progressive shift in human consciousness, known as the Golden Age, is swiftly approaching. Its arrival is believed to coincide with a critical mass of enlightenment, which is when a small percentage of enlightened people in the world will create an almost instant shift in global consciousness. On the other hand, meteor storms, Earth crust displacement, Earth's polar shift, supervolcanoes, cosmic radiation, nuclear war, and their lingering effects are a few of the many things we've been hearing from scientists and doomsday theorists for quite some time. Contemporary scholars and historians like Mike Rupert, Nathan Hagans, James Kunstler, and others predict resource depletion, economic collapse, technological warfare, environmental and natural disasters as very serious threats that confront the stability of our world societal systems and, most important, the survival of humankind. The Mayan calendar end captured the attention of people all over the world because it was believed by most advocates to be the beginning of colossal disasters and the end of the world as we know it. As December 21st, 2012 came and went, many people began to think that a shift in global consciousness was the true message of the Maya, and that the Mayan calendar end really marked the beginning of new awareness. Through all of this, we are far from certain as to what the future really holds for us. With the increase in the number of people who believe that something major is approaching, come the many varying opinions concerning these approaching times. All of the experts attempt to answer very important questions by injecting speculation into their evaluation of scientific evidence, history, and ancient texts. Will there be doom and gloom or a sudden vast enlightenment? What is actually going to happen? When is it going to happen? Why is it going to happen? Will it be a series of random events, or is there something more to it? How do we correlate it to the reality of our human journey? And the most important question, can we prevent disaster from striking? The answer to these questions rely on the answers to the three most important and fundamental questions of the human condition. Where did we come from? What is our purpose? What is our destiny? These queries have historically ignited our search for meaning to the world we live in, the cosmos, and our place within them. They have been asked most throughout the course of human history, and while concrete answers to them remain elusive, our intuition is telling us that world-changing events loom, and the third question of the triad may soon be answered. There seems to be a sense of urgency, and even though we don't know exactly why we feel this way, it's as though our latent sixth sense, the third eye, ESP, wisdom, intuition, or whatever you wish to call it, is begging us to listen. Perhaps we are more aware of the tumultuous world we live in and believe that something has got to change. Many of us are privy to these new and varying possibilities because we have been listening to our intuition and seeking answers to questions that were never as important as they are today. Can our intuition help to answer these questions? Where does our wisdom or insight stem from? What exactly is our sixth sense? The definition of wisdom by Webster is having the power to judge rightly and follow the soundest course of action based on knowledge, experience, understanding, and good judgment. An insightful understanding of what is true, right, or enduring. The definition clearly implies a sixth sense, and it truly is. Inside each of us is the essence of all truth, God, the answers to everything. Many of us have heard this before, but I'm going to explain how we can answer questions that many believe to be unanswerable. Many hidden truths are often unobserved, not invisible. Let's begin with a simple example of how our insight actually works. Suppose we want to be on time for an 8 o'clock movie. Let's also suppose that for some reason the clock in our house was an hour slow and we weren't aware of it. By relying on the clock for the proper time, we would fail to achieve our objective because we did not know the truth. We certainly believed that we knew, but we were wrong and had to suffer the consequences of our mistaken belief. Now let's also suppose that under the same circumstances, we have a hunch that something wasn't right. Immediately, we would begin to look for clues to verify our hunch, and after poking around a little, we would find that our intuition was correct and the clock was wrong. Our internal essence or spirit, which connects everything together, freed us from the mistake of our ignorance by presenting a thought and a feeling or sense which we willingly accepted. Had we dismissed our hunch by failing to recognize it as a valid premonition, it would have been filed along with the many other thoughts that cross our mind on a daily basis. The key here is that we willingly accepted and recognized the hidden truth. So I'll repeat it again. Many hidden truths are often unobserved, not invisible. How many of you recognize and accept that statement as truth? The sixth sense, or wisdom, is the uncanny ability to recognize and separate truth from fiction because its fundamental nature is all truth. How many times have we recognized the words of wisdom as truth without scientific proof? Seek and you shall find. Knock and it will be open to you. These words of the Christ are the prescriptions to wisdom, insight, intuition, or the sixth sense. We must ask questions believed to be unanswerable and closely inspect the hunches of our intuition now more than ever before. With practice and perseverance, we can begin to see the common threads that bind all knowledge and unlock secrets to ancient mysteries believed to be forever hidden. In all the time I've spent trying to make sense